Austin Fifield is our new guy.
Hello.
And then Rich Zacher, I think you might have met Rich, because he's been on the board a long
I
time.
think so, yes.
Okay, so I'm going to give you Ed.
Rich, can you scoot in just a
Come in
little?
a little bit.
Just a little.
You want everyone on this side of the table?
I just want people to be able to see everybody.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll slide over this way a
Oh,
little
I
bit.
see, now there's a little picture up top, see?
All right.
Still working on
Thank
the
you for
cobweb,
taking
sorry.
me via Zoom.
Yes.
You can see all three of us?
Okay.
Ish.
Okay, I feel sorry for you.
It's hot here. I hope you have air.
No, no, no.
Oh, no.
It's a little too early to start.
Can you hold on 5 minutes, Cheryl?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I always enter early to make sure I'm set.
Okay.
That's the same thing we did.
Yeah. And this is Leah. Leah is our administrative assistant.
You can't see it, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people from the public and from internal staff here as well.
Oh, okay.
Plus our Honorable Mr. Comeau doing our audio video for us.
Yeah.
Wow, you have a full house.
Should have brought some fans.
I think I'll kick it off All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order. I got 5:55, so if you would please stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for participating, Cheryl.
Okay, so let's roll right into the audit and discuss that. And if you would, we'd like to have you start just talking about your analysis and what's behind it. And I'll ask also,
Okay.
before you start, any questions directed to her, please address them to me, and we'll go through the board to make sure she doesn't have a lot of people just firing questions at her, all right? Thank you. Go ahead.
All right, well, thank you very much for having me. And an audit is a process that is required by the state. Depending on the population of your town, not all people or all towns require a formal audit. I call it a full-blown audit. Some can get away with what they call the MS-60 form, which is just a spot check of financials, but because of your population, you do require an annual financial audit. And what that audit entails is to make sure that the financial statements of the town are fairly stated in all material respects. Now, there are times when they may not be fairly stated in all material respects if you do not comply with all GASB pronouncements. And that being, what those are their financial pronouncements that are required by the Government Accounting Standards Board. And for example, GASB 34 that took place back almost 23 years ago requires that capital assets be recorded on your financial statements. And if they're not recorded, most likely your financial statements are not fairly stated because you're missing a big asset. So depending on what we find in the audit, you may receive a clean opinion, which is an unmodified opinion. A modified opinion, which may have you might be missing something that's material, or the adverse opinion, like the capital assets, that you haven't recorded yet, those create the adverse opinion. Because again, there's an element that most likely is material to your financial statements. So we do, in the report, in the opinion letter, there is the adverse opinion on only the government-wide financial statements. Now, a lot of towns are in your same position. They have not recorded capital assets, and in some towns, they have not recorded, there's a pension liability as well as an other post-employment benefit liability. Because you don't have New Hampshire retirement, you do not have to comply with those standards, so those don't impact you. But I have many towns that have an adverse opinion, not only on capital assets, but also on those two liabilities. Now, I often will say that capital assets should be reported, but sometimes it's a Herculean task to determine what are the town's capital assets. So a lot of towns, like yourself, may waive reporting them, and they will take the adverse opinion. Now, the adverse opinion right now does not prevent the town from borrowing any debt or any loans from the banks. So even though you have the adverse opinion, you do still have the ability to seek out bonds, TANs, and loans. If it came to the point where the banks or any other entities required you to absolutely do it, we would then give you the heads up and say, you've got to do this. But a lot of towns weigh the cost and benefit ratio on whether or not to do that. So we recommend that you do it, but it's your decision. So the opinion in your financial report is fairly stated for your general fund, your trust funds, and all the conservation fund. But the only opinion that is adverse is the government-wide financial statements, which what that does is it takes all of your financials, all the general fund, the conservation, the trust funds, and the heritage, it takes them all together and puts them on one balance sheet and one income statement, which are exhibits A and B in the report. I did want to mention also, I'm just kind of, and I apologize, I do not know how to share my screen, I'm new to this, but I can tell you that during the year, you started the year with, and this is always, what I'm going to go over with you is Schedule 3 in the report. And it's in the back of the report. And I always felt from who trained me to do this, and I've been doing this 34 years, this is one of the most important pages in the report. It tells you where you started and how you did at the end of the year. And at the beginning of the year, and this is for tax rate purposes, you started the year with $850,041. Of that, you used $325,000, and you had an overall budget surplus of $216,456. So there are two schedules that precede Schedule 3, and they show that you did have a revenue surplus. You took in $68,461 more than what you had budgeted, and also you underspent your appropriations by $147,995. So you underspent your budget, and when you add the two together, you end up with that overall budget surplus of $216,456. Now that surplus gets added back to the beginning unassigned, less the use of fund balance that you used in 2024, to give you a new unassigned fund balance at 12/31/24 of $741,497. So that's what you will use when you go to determine what you will use in setting your tax rate in this in 2025. Now, are there any specific questions that you would like me to go over on any of the numbers in the financial report?
Oh, I'm hearing crickets. Anybody?
I do want to say that it's a pleasure always coming over to the town because one thing we've noticed over the few years, we've been doing this, I think, 4 years now, 5 years, that people, they want to do a good job and they want to learn, because I know I've been asked questions before, how do we do this, or how's the best way to do that? And I don't see that everywhere I go. So it's always a pleasure to come over and to see that people care and want to do a good job and ask questions. And I always tell people, if you have a question, please pick up the phone and call and ask. It's better to answer a question and get it going the right way than to have it go making a journal entry the wrong way. But with Joanne, she does a great job, as does everyone else in your office. So it's always a pleasure to come over there because you have great staff.
So what I'm hearing is that from a financial standpoint, the numbers line up. We've done a good job managing both the revenue side and the expense side, and things in your accounting opinion are quite solid in the town of Brookfield. Okay.
Yes.
Other than the asset depreciation issue, we're in good shape.
Correct.
There were a couple of other things that were noted, like what was some of the things?
Probably in the
IT,
governance letter.
IT and cybersecurity. You make recommendations of other. I'll call them soft issues, right? They're not financially
Yes.
related directly.
Yes, and actually, I just got to pull up my letter. So the good news is with, let's see if I can, bear with me 1 second, please. I'm just trying to pull it up. All right. The great news is in the financial report, if you had what we call material weaknesses or significant deficiencies with your processes, how you keep track of your books, we would have a comment in the report labeled either findings on material weaknesses and or significant deficiencies. You didn't have any such findings, so again, that is good. This other letter that you have, that you're mentioning, this is a letter that we feel are items that you should look into. Maybe perhaps, we recommend that you implement policies or make some changes, but they have not risen to the level of a significant deficiency or a material weakness. And what some of those are, you mentioned the IT. I've got to tell you, it's scary. In today's world, we actually put 2 comments in the report on IT. You want to make sure you have good IT policies and procedures, and even a disaster recovery plan in place. I know of 4 clients of ours that have been hacked, have had cybersecurity attacks, and one of the entities did not have, for example, they were not backing up their financial data to an outside location or to the cloud. They were actually backing it up to another, what they call is like a drive on the main internal computer. And when that cybersecurity attack happened, they lost everything. They are still trying to put together their financial records to recreate what was lost. And I've seen many, they seem to be increasing. So we recommend not only that disaster recovery plan, but we also just give you some pointers in the governance letter about being aware of cybersecurity and that you need to have maybe some policies in place, maybe even employee training when they're opening. A lot of these have happened by phishing email coming into the school district or the town. Someone clicked on a link that looked darn close to Joanne's. It was from Joanne, but it really wasn't. They clicked on the link and then the Pandora's box opened. So it's just, having training, making people aware what you should be on the lookout for, having policies over what do you do if you do have a cybersecurity attack. So we kind of we're putting it in everybody's governance letter to make you aware is that you really want to make sure you protect yourself, because I would hate to see what's happened to at least 5 or 6 of our clients for our firm have gone through that type of an incident. So it's very important. The other items is, again, just recommending that you have policies in place. Policies on purchasing. Fraud. What do we do if we have a fraud occur? A cyber attack. What is our process? That way you're planned, you have a plan and you can move forward. Whereas if you didn't have a policy, you don't know, you wouldn't know what to do. We also recommend that maybe again, it's your decision, but you work towards capital assets. And if people do start to determine that they are going to report capital assets, you would want to start with a capital asset policy to determine what are we going to capitalize? What is the life of these assets going to be? What is the depreciation, and how are we going to depreciate those assets? How are we going to record disposals and additions? It's something, if you were interested in any of these policies, our clients are great. They we'll ask them if we can share them with you, or you can contact them, and they're always most obliging to help. But it's just, you want to have policies in place so you can go. And then we do recommend that you would want to record, if you did decide to record capital assets, you take it in baby steps, because it does take a bit of work to do it. And what you would do is perhaps, this year, once we've got a policy in place, let's tackle buildings. Let's capitalize maybe buildings and land, or depending on how much you have, you would tackle it. And then what we do is we still have the adverse opinion, but we make a note in this letter that you're working towards eliminating that adverse opinion. But I have one person in particular that was very good at implementing a medium-sized town in the state, basically using this process. And there's ways that you've got to capitalize them using historical cost. So there are calculators out there that you can use very easily to calculate. If you know the actual price of the asset, you can put that information into the CPI calculator, and it will spit out what the historical cost was when you bought it. So there are ways to help with the process rather than just sitting there and saying, what do we do? I could put you in touch with someone. But right now, you don't have them. It doesn't impede you getting bonds or, issuing, getting a TAN. So it's a town by town decision, because sometimes the cost outweighs the benefit of doing such a thing.
You had another point also about collateralized investments and FDIC investments? How
Yes.
does that, how do we respond to that? How does that affect what we're doing? 'Cause the way I understand
Okay.
it almost sounds like Armageddon is upon us, and we're worried about Brookfield. I mean, the world is collapsing.
I know. Well, and let me just get back to my report. All right. And with your, one thing, again, we want to make sure that you're aware of any potential threats that you may have out there. And the cash, so for this year, your cash was fully insured, because many years ago when I started, probably in the mid-90s, there were bank failures, and some towns did lose money because they only had money, they only had coverage up to $250,000. They didn't have collateral. I can say by looking at the report, you were, for your cash, you were fully insured by FDIC insurance and collateral. So if there was a bank failure, whatever your balance was as of that day of failure, you would be covered. I just had to write up a town today that did not have coverage, collateral for $2.9 million. And I'm like, you've got to keep everything covered, because you just don't know. Everything is it can be volatile. Luckily, you are in the state statutes require that you be in banks in New Hampshire, or they do have a few exceptions, but you follow the rules of the state statutes, so that is good. And then I know you do have some money in, let's see, New Hampshire Public Deposit Investment Pool. Now that money is reported as an investment. That money is not covered by FDIC insurance. It's covered by SIPC insurance, or coverage, if you will. What SIPC stands for is Security Investor Protection Corporation. So New Hampshire Public Deposit Investment Pool is a subset of U.S. Bank Corp. And then U.S. Bank Corp will invest money, and that money, based on how it is doing, my understanding is that will go back to the entities that have money in the public deposit investment pool to determine what your interest rates are. That money is not insured by FDIC, it's by this SIPC, but that coverage is for the U.S. Bank Corp, not specific to New Hampshire Public Deposit Investment Pool. So, but I would encourage you, if you had questions about collateral with your PDIP accounts, because you had at the end of the year $1,038,873 in there, I would, have Joanne talk to someone at New Hampshire Public Deposit Investment Pool about, how secure is this? It's been in business since probably the early 90s, and I've never seen any problems with it. A lot of people use it, and a lot of people are very happy with it. And I believe your trust funds are in it.
Right, you mentioned the RSA, so are they regulated by the state, through the RSAs?
They do have to comply with the state statute, with the RSA. So I believe the banking commissioner will kind of oversees what they're doing.
Okay. So they're, even though it may not be insured, what they're doing is being watched by the right people.
Yes. And I know a lot of towns that use them, and One thing I've always liked is that their statements are very easy to read, and like a lot of towns have their trust funds in them. And they make it a lot easier for people to read them and understand them, and to determine quickly, what does the fire truck capital reserve have for a balance. You can look at the statement and there it is. So there's pros and cons to everything. But they do abide by state statutes.
Okay. Neither of you guys have a quick word?
Cheryl, a quick question.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Joy.
A quick question about the bank statements. Do they have to be reviewed by the board, the bank statements?
And is that you, at least because you are in the role of both the bookkeeper and the treasurer,
Yeah.
someone other than yourself should be reviewing them. I think I've suggested that perhaps maybe even the deputy treasurer signs off on them. After Joanne is done, deputy reviews them, and it could even just go to the board and say, it's ultimately the board is responsible to make sure the town's finances are properly being monitored. So the board could just verify that they are being reviewed monthly. You could just click, yep, we have a signature, a second signature, a sign off, and the board could even look at the balance sheet and look at what's the ending balance. Does it tie to the ending balance at the end of July? It does. We can place reliance on that review and approval.
Okay.
But I would just recommend that maybe the board do that quick check, because the board is responsible for the town's finances.
And we are doing that.
Okay.
There's another question?
Hi, Cheryl. I'm the video guy.
He's the guy behind the camera.
Yeah. I ran your audit report and the audit materials through AI, Grok 4, and it came up with 7 items that you did talk about, most of them now, and explained. But my main question is, doesn't DRA mandate that the municipalities follow Gatsby and the GAP protocol? Is that mandated, or is it just suggested?
I would say it's required, but the state has not come down with an iron fist and said you have to do this. That's why the town gets the adverse opinion for the lack of recording capital assets. I would think someday, if it's when the bond bank, or say if you're getting money from a bank and they look at the report and say, oh, you got an adverse opinion, then you would have to do it, because then you wouldn't be able to borrow. But right now, it's not enforced.
Okay. Now,
That's why the adverse opinion.
now the capital assets, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Rich.
We've been working with this capital assets for a number of years now. All our assets are real estate. Just real estate and buildings that are insured. Does that require an inventory more than we have in our assessing system?
You would want to inventory land
Yes.
and buildings.
Yes.
Now, the interesting thing about buildings in New Hampshire is a lot of them, yours is wooden, but a lot of them are made of brick. But a lot of the wooden ones are beautiful. There's a few that I absolutely love. They're still being used. So technically, a building, as long as it's in use and it's owned by the town, you would want to pick that up. But because it could be 100 years old, I have some buildings that are 150 years old. You would want to depreciate the building like 150, 175 years. As long as you're using the building, you need to record depreciation expense on the building. And what that depreciation expense really is the cost of using the building on an annual basis.
It doesn't cost us anything to
So,
use it.
yeah, so you probably wouldn't have a lot of a lot of capital assets, because you do have, intermunicipal agreements with other towns. And what I usually tell people to do is to determine, where to start, is you could take your property liability rider, because that probably will list out all your assets of the town. It's giving you fair value, but I can show you a way to back it into historical value, so at least you would know we've got the material assets that we could put on the books. And I wouldn't recommend you put them on the books, but you would want to keep an Excel spreadsheet that's very easy to do and maintain, and have a policy, and then you would be in compliance. So that insurance binder is a great place to start.
You all set?
Yep.
All right, Mr. Comeau had another question.
I just had, well,
Oh, sure.
one was a statement, basically. I served in the legislature for 6 years, so if it costs the towns to do this depreciation, I would think the state can't mandate it because they're not funding it. If they gave us the funding, then they could, but I think that's the reason why they didn't mandate it. But my last question is, you put in the report about related party transactions. Can you explain what that is and how it relates to the town, and how is that an issue, and why did you put it in there if it's not an issue?
Okay.
And that's it.
All right, so what a related party transaction is when an individual that's a board member or an employee of the town has a business that provides services to the town. We want to make sure that, that could cause, that could be problematic. So what we do is we look at the situation and we look at the expenditures. We will test expenditures to make sure that the board's properly approving the expenditures. If the town uses purchase orders, was the purchase order used the way it should have been for the expenditures, or was the purchase order ignored? Or did the invoice get circumvented and the board didn't approve the invoice? So when we have these related party transactions, again, they can cause issues and they can almost be a conflict. So when we know there's, in the case you have one, we will look at the invoices to make sure that all the proper procedures are being followed financially. And what we did find is there were some instances where the invoices weren't on file. So we always recommend that, because it is a close relationship, the person is maybe, is an employee of the town but has their own business, you want to make sure that everything is being done above board. So it's important that you're provided the proper supporting documentation for all of the activity that transpires between you and that individual or company, so that it's 100% transparent and above board.
Okay, Ed, I believe you have.
Just on the capital asset question, let's take the townhouse, for example. Let's say it's 50 years old. If we backed into the original cost, let's say it was $100,000, it would have been depreciated already if you had a 50-year depreciation schedule attached to it. So it's worth nothing on the books today. So how do you deal with that going back historically? You put it on the value of today, like your liability insurance, you said?
Were you able to hear that, Cheryl, or do you need us to repeat it?
I think I heard most of it. So what you need to do, because again, buildings in this state, they'll go on for hundreds of years. So when you look at other towns' capital asset policies, they will value the building. They'll make an adjustment to the useful lives of those assets. Once they've hit, say, 70, they said, oh, it's going to be 75 years, and now it's another 75 years and it's still going. The board can vote to amend the policy to change the useful life and extend it. I've even seen 200 years. And that way, you make an adjustment for the extension of the years, and then you can properly show the depreciation expense. It gets modified, but then you're using, the depreciation expense is basically the cost of using the building. So I've had a lot of towns amend the useful lives. Did I capture everything?
What value would you use to calculate depreciation?
He wants to know what value do you use to start with? Did I frame
Well, if
that?
you were to put it on the books this year, let's say,
Oh.
what value would you use to start your depreciation over the next 50 years?
How do we determine what a 150-year-old building is worth if we're going to implement a depreciation schedule? How do we determine that?
Okay. Yes, so there are several ways. I love annual reports. It's a little time consuming, but you can go back. If you knew that the building was built in 1950, you could go back to the town report, and those people were great at listing out all the prices of the building. If there were additions to the building, you kind of need to know when were the additions done in order to add those on as the years went by. A simpler method is to use it's the CPI, Consumer Price Index. They have a tool that you can go in and put in the current value, basically from your insurance policy. It's, say your town hall is now assessed at $2.5 million fair value or replacement value. You could take that $2.5 million, put it into this Consumer Price Index calculator with the original year that it was built, and you push a button and it will then give you what the historical cost was. The only thing you would have to then do is do the depreciation expense coming forward. I would say 98% of the towns use no salvage value because that can be problematic and a bit of a pain. But they use no salvage value and they use straight line depreciation. So if it's determined that the depreciation on the building is $25,000 a year, you would then expense $25,000 and then determine how many years you have to go back on the calculation.
So does that mean we raise tax $25,000 in taxes so that we can pay for that expense?
No.
Okay.
Luckily, no. Because your financial statements for tax rate setting purposes are on a budgetary basis. What we have to do is when we come in to do the audit and put together the financial statements on a government-wide basis, that is totally separate. It does not impact your budget. So that's why we always recommend to towns, you track your capital assets, but keep them on an Excel spreadsheet. Or if you have QuickBooks, some people, I think there are some other softwares that will now track them. You keep them there, you present us with the report of capital assets, and we then record them for you. So it doesn't, because if they were in your system, we'd have to make entries to back them out in order to give you what you need for tax, for your tax rate setting on the budgetary basis.
I think we're just about out of time. Does anybody have one last question? All right, then I guess we'll end it here. I think we're going to get cut off anyway. So thank you very much for sharing your time with us and your knowledge. I appreciate it.
Thank you,
And,
Cheryl.
Thank you, Cheryl.
There we go. We made it.
Just out of
Got that
time.
in just in time.
Great.
Okay. All right, anybody have any comments they want to make on that discussion? Okay, let's move on to the agenda.
Pretty organized. Let's move some chairs around.
Yeah, you want to
Oh,
check?
yeah. We can rearrange some furniture here if you'd like. Don't take these benches out though, because there's a safety structure. We'll clean that up after.
Safety structure.
Yeah, you go.
Spoken like a true engineer.
Yeah, we're gonna build a ramp that goes up over the top. So.
84 accessible.
Okay.
It's done.
Well,
Hopefully, was that helpful?
Yes.
I tried. See you later.
Did you win?
No, we lost, but
I don't know.
I'll just call it for the end.
Okay, the next item I want to go about, we don't have the minutes ready for July 7th, either public or non-public, but we do have a set of minutes from July 1st. I believe you guys had a chance to look at them as well. But I had no comments on them, I think they're all set. So I will accept the motion if one of you would like to make it.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes from July 1st, 2025.
I will second that motion. Any discussion? Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, next item I want to go into, before we get into the website selection committee report, just a quick one. Last meeting, we talked about roofing on the townhouse, specifically the steeple and the bell tower. So Joanne was able to get updated information.
Janice.
Jan.
I'm sorry,
Jan.
thank you. What did I say, Julie?
You said me, but sorry.
You got another job now. Jan was able to update the information and came back with vendor C quote for the bell tower only at $4,200. And vendor D, that's for shingles, asphalt shingles. The vendor D for asphalt shingles was $5,200. Vendor C to do the bell tower only in copper was $9,800. And vendor D to do the bell tower in copper was $26,000. So significant difference there, but so what I would like to do, because I think it's very important that we get input and feedback from the Heritage Commission as well. They're the ones that kind of oversee, take care of, they use that the most. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to put forward a motion that's going to recommend that we go with one of these vendors.
Can I ask a question? Jen, on vendor D's price of $26,000, is that just for the steeple, or is that for the whole roof?
Just the steeple.
No, it's just the steeple. Okay, just checking. Thank you.
With a contingency on it. I'd like to make a motion that we approve one of the vendors with a contingency that, because the Heritage Commission's meeting tomorrow night, right?
Right.
That we bring it to them saying the selectmen have approved this as long as you guys are okay with it too. Right? Ultimately, it's our building, we have the responsibility for it. But as I said, they're part of it, they're a big part of it. So I'd like to have their concurrence so that if they meet tomorrow and they say, yeah, we agree with what your recommendation was, I would be okay to sign off on that. Because if we don't meet again for 3 weeks. So now we're into August before we start work on bell tower. Maybe even September by then. So, I'd like to talk about the two options of shingles versus copper. And my opinion is that given that the shingles are half the price of the copper, and I'm referring to the vendor C quotes. Vendor C was 98 copper, 42 for shingles. And both of those numbers are cheaper than vendor D. So my recommendation, my motion is that we would, suggestion at this point, I haven't made the motion yet, is that we go with shingles and 4,200 with vendor C. What are you guys, what are your thoughts, what are your opinions on it?
I would agree with the shingles, go with the cheaper route for now. They'll last obviously up a good 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, they're shingles, if they're rated for 25 years, this is typical. You try to get 20 out of it, typical.
Yeah.
So it would be I consider that still a long-term fix as well. Rich, you got any opinion one way or the other on which way to go?
So we can do both buildings for some reasonable number like 20,000. To do the bell tower, it's 5,000. because of the lift and the expense and the labor. It's not the material, it's where it is. So it would seem to me we would want to minimize that lift expense, because that's going to take the whole project and continue to make it expensive. In 15 years, 20 years, whatever, we're going to do another lift, which is almost 25% of the entire job. So if in 20 years it's 50,000, that's going to be 25% to do the bell tower.
The issue I have is that the bell tower is having, the shingles are breaking off and falling on the ground. We all know that. It's going to leak. The damage that will happen is, especially if it gets into the interior of that, and we just went through all the plaster made on this. But it's $4,200 to do just that bell tower with the shingles. Given that we're in a very tight budget situation this year, and we talked budget at the last meeting, and we see areas where we are being squeezed. If we can solve the issue for 20 years for $4,200, I think it's a viable option.
And I don't think the budget issue is applicable here because we have a trust fund to fund it. So I think we're talking about the expense of replacing it. And you're looking at the material cost, you do it this way. Every time you put a lift up, it's $2,000. The material is cheap. The shingles. It's the lift that kills you every time you have to go up there. So I think you'd want to minimize your exposure to the lift.
Well, you know what?
That's...
Bring that same question back 20 years from now and we'll talk about it. I'm kidding. I don't think it doesn't have an impact on us in the near term. Right? That's a down the road issue. Who knows what's going to happen? Maybe drones will be doing it. Maybe robots will be going up there and doing it. Who knows? To me, the immediate concern is spending only $4,200 instead of $20,000, or even whatever if we did the whole thing.
What you're comparing tonight is 42 against 98. And
Oh, you're talking about the lift only. You're talking about doing copper on the steeple?
yeah.
Okay, I thought you were talking about doing.
Oh, no, I'm saying in 20 years, to do the whole job, shingle-wise, say it's 50,000, it's all labor on that lift again. That's why we didn't do the lift for it. That's why we didn't do the steeple 5 years ago or 10 years ago. We didn't want to go through the lift expense because all of a sudden the job got very expensive.
Mhm.
So we postponed it. We have to do it now. I guess my bias now would be put the copper on, make it good for 50, 60 years. Don't do the lift again.
Well, then the rest of the building is shingles. So in 20 years or 15 years now, probably maybe even 10, we got to get a lift out there anyway.
No
Do
lift.
that part of it.
No lift for that. No lift. That is just pure shingle. See, your minimum.
They don't do a lift on that.
No.
Okay.
So when you get that done in 2 days, it's roof like that.
Okay.
That's easy to do. It's the
Right.
lift that kills it. That's my opinion.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, I'm going to make a motion that we go with asphalt shingles using vendor C in the amount of $4,200 to cover the bell tower only.
I'll second that.
Do you want me to add in on the stipulation that Heritage agrees?
Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that.
Yeah.
And that approval, we'll make the approval with my signature on the contract would be dependent on agreement with the Heritage Commission.
All right. So they don't agree, what do we do?
We'll come back and rethink
In
it.
3 weeks. In 3 weeks. That's when we meet
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, yep, that's the thing. That's the risk that we're taking here. That we have to go off 3 weeks. I'm trying to avoid that by doing it this way, so that we can get this in his schedule and get it done. So, any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion as presented?
Aye.
Aye? Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. And
Is that
that will be dependent, my signature will be contingent upon agreement of the 4,200 asphalt by the Heritage Commission.
So Rich, that was it?
That was the day. I was
Okay, you said it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item. Jan, if you're ready, I'd like you to talk about what the website committee has been doing and where we go from here.
Great, so I'm going to do a little setup quickly. For the past 14 years, Civics Plus has been the platform and the website provider for the town for our website. The most recent service and licensing agreement was signed in 2020, and it rolls over each year. So we pay them in December for the following year. And we learned recently that Civics Plus notified the town that their pricing will almost double at the end of this year for next year. So we'll go from $2,500 a year for the website to $4,358 per year. On July 3rd, we formed a website committee of 6 people. It's Leah, Liz, Joe Tully Chambers, Brad Williamson, Ed, and myself. And we reviewed the contract, the feedback from the staff, and we discussed our options. So in the packet that you have, we created an RFP for the redesign and the implementation of a new website for the town. We came up with a list of 7 vendors as opposed to putting it out and letting anyone respond to it. A summary of the feedback was compiled from staff members who replied to Leah's request for feedback back in March. And we also included a list of website analytics as a checklist for the new site design. And we feel that's really important because we've not had access to any metrics, despite Google Analytics being part of Civics Plus contracts that we've been paying for, but we just don't have that data. And having that access to that core data is really important because that tells us how do people arrive at the site, what's the most popular pages, how long are people staying on those pages, what are they searching for. That gives us the best ways, in addition to just going out and asking people in a survey, how well the site is doing and how well it's organized and how people are finding the navigation. So the rough timeline that we're looking at is if you approve the RFP tonight, we would send it out tomorrow to those 7 vendors. We're asking for a response on or before August 22nd. Any proposal that's received before that date, we will go ahead and schedule a public meeting with them so that they can explain to us their approach, what they think we need to be doing with the website, how they would handle security, web hosting, and all of those kinds of things. And so we won't wait until we receive all 7 or however many responses. By September 16th, we hope to compile and evaluate the proposals, summarize and make a recommendation to the select board. And by October 7th, we would assist the select board with a contract award. So those dates correlate to your meeting dates. So on the RFP, it includes background on the town, vendor requirements, content management features that we think are important. I can spend more time going through that, but I'd like to know if you have any questions on the packet of information you've gotten. Or assume you got the information.
Obviously, I understand what's here because I'm on the committee, so I'll look to you guys if you have any questions for Jan.
I don't have a moment, I also haven't had much time to look through this.
Yes, I have some.
Yeah.
I read the document, and some of the issues that we've been dealing with, and I don't see it mentioned, is calendar issues.
Yes.
We have trouble managing the calendars because there seems to be multiple calendars today.
Yes.
So it's an issue that I don't see where any issue talked about.
It is in here. It is in the feedback from the staff, from a number of people, and it's also in the table. Yeah, it's in this table that you'll see. It's table 1. I believe it says calendar. Update and publish calendars with the ability to import multiple calendar feeds. The feedback from the staff is that we have multiple events, but we have conflicting information. So if someone thinks they're going to come to a planning board meeting, it might be on the planning board site, but it might be on the main calendar, and the information may be conflicting. feed. So we know, part of that is management.
Well, that's exactly the point. People will post it on a planning board calendar and not appear in the main calendar, and we get challenged for it not being posted. Because people don't look to all the calendars.
But they should, and they shouldn't have to.
That's right.
That's a problem with the calendar function, but that's easily addressable.
Okay, the next one was, it would be great, here's a great feature, if we could download the calendar to our phones or whatever, so that we have a feature of alerting us when a meeting is coming.
Oh,
If we could
okay.
get integrated into, I don't know what tool they use, right?
Yeah, okay. You should actually be, well, and this is one of the big things, you know, I mostly access the website from my phone, so I just look at the calendar on my phone. Part of the analytics, we don't know where people are coming from and how they're looking at it. I don't think you necessarily have to download the calendar, you could just pull it up on your phone and see it. But the way it's set up right now, you might have to go to planning board, you might have to go to the main calendar, and you have to double check both of those, and that's crazy, that's just not right.
The next question or comment is the technology that's being used. Not that I care, but if it's an old technology, that implies we're going to do a change again, as opposed to a current technology. Because some of these tools are 10, 15 years old, and they were robust,
Right.
but their life expectancy is coming to an end, so we're going to have to make a change again.
So are you talking about the platform, like
The
it's?
tools that were used to create the platform, what tool set? Or maybe the question is, and it really is none of our business from a performance perspective, the implication is if it's not a current technology, we're
Right.
looking at another change in the near term.
Right, you're probably looking at another change anyways, because all of these platforms have updates, and that's exactly what Civic Plus is doing right now.
That's
They
right.
have updated their modules,
That's right,
they see more value, that's why they're charging us more.
that's right.
Right,
So we don't want to get locked into a vendor that is going to go through that in 2 years, because they see an upgrade in their platform.
That's standard these days, Rich.
yeah, I don't know how we know that a vendor would or wouldn't, I mean, the vendors we're looking
I'm
at.
not challenging it, I'm just
Oh,
giving
no,
you my
I'm just
opinion.
saying, that's,
Give you my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah,
all the ones I looked at said, oh, we update every 3 years,
So,
no extra cost, I mean, whatever.
Right, so, you know,
it's,
it
okay,
could
it's
be
not
Wix, it could be WordPress, it could be
a whole host of them.
yeah, yeah,
Then we'll ask, when there's a demo, we'll ask the vendor.
yes, absolutely.
My last comment is conversion timeframe.
Oh, I mean,
Well,
migrating the data
Yeah.
from the old website to the new
You
website.
know, mid-November to mid-January is like a critical time for the town with respect to IT and taxes and closing our books
Yeah.
and getting our new budget. So I would avoid mid-November to mid-January.
So one of the options we talked about is actually going back to Civics Plus to ask if we might get a 3-month window where that takes us up to, say, March. And with any vendor, because, I mean, frankly, from October to December is a very busy period for lots of people. And if we don't get they should be running kind of parallel, both websites, whether it's the new Civic Plus and the old Civic Plus. You don't turn off one and turn the other one on right away. So if you're saying you would prefer to have the website not launch until, are you saying end of February?
I'm saying keep the system stable during that interval,
Okay,
so we can issue tax bills, collect tax money,
okay,
close our books, get our new budget squared away. It
okay.
all happened from mid-November to the second week in January.
Okay, just so, okay, mid-November to, I'm going to say end of January, okay. Okay, fair point, that's a good one.
So yeah, thank you for doing it.
Okay, sure, yeah, it's been a team effort, so. And I actually have, if anyone here, someone want there's a copy of the RFP. Anybody else? Okay.
Does anybody have any other questions for the committee? Mr. Como?
You're not going to get away with having to not update the components when you do a website. I have the same problem. The modules that run certain parts of my website expire, and sometimes they don't work with the servers and the platform framework that is running everything. So you're going to get a warning from that, and it's the website owner's responsibility to warn you and tell you we have to update this. And all these updates cost money. So even though you're worried about Civics Plus charging you more, they will seamlessly upgrade all those modules, but that's why the prices went up.
But I don't believe we've seen any of that for the past 5 years. If they're changing that in the background, we don't see it.
The county has changed their Civics Plus website, I think at least once, and what they have now is completely different. It's the new one that they're going to probably give you.
That's what they're
Yes.
offering
You
you.
have an old one right now,
Yes.
and that's why it doesn't work that great.
And if we had a webmaster or an IT person, they would be in communication and say, we have these security patches, we have this, and they would know, because those happen all the time, because people are always figuring out ways to do workarounds. So they may be sending it, it may be going into some empty mailbox, who knows?
Ed?
And I also worry about the experience of some of these other website providers. Civics Plus has been around for a long time, and I would be personally more comfortable spending a little bit extra money for security and everything else you get. But I did hear you say that we had Google Analytics and that we paid for it, but we never saw the data. How much money did that cost us that we just lost?
I don't know that. I can see it in the contract that we have, and it's the licensing agreement, and it says included in your contract. So Leah and I are meeting tomorrow. She's going to show me the back end so I can see if maybe it's there, we just don't realize it.
I can show you the email that I've had back and forth with them too that says, no, you can't do it with the way the website is currently. Because I went through downloading it and trying to plug it in and whatever, and it's like, yeah, we can't do that.
Yeah, it
But the
says,
contract says you should.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how much did that
So-
cost in the contract? Because I pay for
it
Google.
doesn't. It just said, well, so.
It's not really itemized.
Oh.
It's not itemized, it just says robust search functionality, Google Analytics for traffic stats, e-subscriber mail list. So it's listed, but it doesn't tell you how much that particular thing costs. And the fact that we can't find it is perplexing because it should be part of, whether they're changing or not, because it shows in their new list of modules, it's included in there as well. So we should see it in some way. So the question is, I mean, if there are no more questions, are you okay if we proceed with?
Well, let me just, are there any other questions? Anybody have any
Yeah.
questions or comments they want to make? No? Okay, then I'll make a motion that we authorize the subcommittee to issue the proposed RFP to the 7 vendors that are on the vendor list with a deadline date of response August 22nd.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any more discussion?
My concerns are dealt with in the RFP with respect to calendars and
I will go in and make it clearer that we need. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Aye. Motion carries. So Jan, you're good to go.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you for doing it, I appreciate it. There's still a lot more work. The committee's gonna stay together to help with the demo part of it, if it comes to that, to help put together an evaluation that makes it easier for us to make a judgment and decision on it. And then also, I see us sitting through the implementation process to help with any questions, because we got some technical people in this committee that blow your socks off. They're just amazing what they have, so we need that technical expertise to help us.
so the final piece is, how do we maintain it and manage it going forward when the committee's done?
Oh, we got a we got a software position that we're trying to create, right?
Exactly.
Software/IT position that we're trying to create.
Exactly right, because I don't think we have anyone on staff that can do that today.
That's correct.
Everybody's
that-
gonna be trained in the new system.
That's the other thing too, you know, they do provide training on usage.
Right.
And the intent would be, the way I see it, is that if we hire somebody, as we have talked about, that person would be involved in that training and
Absolutely.
then become the subject matter expert for the town. So they would provide further training down the road as well. So, we're trying to cover it. I'm not gonna tell you it's perfect right now, but we're moving in that direction. So. Okay,
Great, okay, thanks.
any other questions? All right, this is going better than I expected. So let's take a quick run. I know it's hot and stuffy, but that might make everybody go a little quicker too, right? So let's go down through the regular business. The archives. Jan, you want to talk to Gaffney and Heritage?
Yes, Gaffney, so it's Art at the Gaffney. Liz is one of the honorary artists. She was awarded for her artwork. A few other people in Brookfield as well, so I just wanted to raise that. If you haven't been there, it's a great show. Saturday, August 9th, from noon to 2 is a 100-year anniversary celebration at the library, so everyone is welcome. There'll be a jazz band, Lance is playing. Food, birthday cake, ice cream, balloons, giveaways. I think it'll be fun, and so everyone in town is welcome. Heritage, we are talking about the steeple tomorrow night, so other than that, I don't have any updates.
Okay, thank you. Ed, do you have anything for planning board?
Nothing new, still working on rules of procedure and master plan updates.
Right. Meg, anything on trustees?
Nothing for the trustees right now.
Karen, town clerk?
Just quickly, there's been an e-blast, the town clerk's office will be closed next Tuesday and Wednesday. So if people have business, if they can come in Monday, that would be great. And then we'll just resume our normal hours the next week. And I was considering hosting maybe with the selectmen, just proposing that we have a town coffee. Maybe in August, there are a lot of new people in town and a lot of our summer people are in town. So I was looking at August 2nd or the 16th, I believe it is. Any date other than the 23rd, to just host like a 2-hour coffee and just invite the townspeople. With your approval, I could ask the assessor's office for some of the new people's addresses and just do an invitation. But I just want to toss that out there if that would be of interest.
What is, I'm not really sure what you're asking for something then, or?
Would the selectmen be interested in joining to do a town coffee, a meet and greet, basically, for our townspeople?
Do you want to meet and greet new residents at a town coffee in August?
It would be open to everyone. We used to do it all the time, monthly, I believe it was. Just an opportunity for people to get back together.
What's the date that you're thinking for that?
August 2nd or the 16th?
Oh, God, that's hot.
I know, and I did think about that, but we have a lot of summer residents here right now, and they'll be gone.
You can do iced coffee.
It's up
Yeah,
to you guys, but it would be important that you're there.
Yeah, we can try that.
Yeah. Sure, maybe 8 to 10, before it gets hot. I mean, is that too early?
I think you used to do it pretty early,
Yes,
didn't
we
you?
did.
Yes.
2nd or the 16th? Do you want the 2nd or the 16th?
There might be one more Saturday, I'm not sure.
I gotta double check the townhouse calendar.
The only thing is the 23rd is Heritage.
Okay, thank you.
I'm good either day.
You settled on something already? You said 2nd or
16th.
16? You got a dot on both of them. Oh, I can't do the 2nd. I can't do the 16th either. Well, you guys can go. I've got commitments on those 2 dates. I don't know if you guys
Is
have
there
anything.
one more? Is there one more Saturday? Or the night?
9th?
The 9th works for me.
The 9th? Is the 9th an option, Karen, or?
Sure.
I am available on the 9th.
Okay, let's do it. 8 to 10 on the 9th.
8 to 10, in the townhouse or in here?
On the townhouse.
Townhouse, okay.
Is it okay to ask the assessor's office for recent people, and then I'll just do a little invitation?
That'd be nice.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. That's all.
Okay. Anything else, Karen?
No, that's good, thank you.
Bertie, you got anything on cemetery?
Nothing?
Chris?
Nope, not tonight.
Okay. Joanne? Leah?
So I ordered the American and state flags for the flagpole outside. We got the American flag in the state. I don't know why they shipped them separate, but they did, and I don't have the state flag yet. Brad, I spoke to him today. He said he's gonna be in tomorrow morning when I'm here to put up the office signs, and he's made the shelf for the server room. Just hasn't installed it yet, so he's hoping to do that tomorrow.
And we want the signs on the buildings taken down
Yes,
so we can refresh them.
that is on his list.
Yes, it is on his list.
And our remote login capabilities for the few of us in the office that use that are currently down because Cybertron, our IT company, has reported they've had a bunch of cyber attacks against some of their other clients, and they were coming so rapidly they just pulled all remote capabilities offline for now. So I'm working with them to get it back up.
Okay.
And that's it for me, I think.
Right. Either of you guys got anything?
Nope. Let me check real quick. Nope, we're good. Thank you.
Okay, then. I guess we're ready to go to the manifest, Joanne.
Okay.
Isn't there something here that says resident complaint letter?
I'm sorry?
Resident complaint letter on the agenda?
I
The
can't.
resident complaint letter on the agenda.
Oh, we're gonna put that out to 8/5, August 5th. We'll go to the next meeting.
Okay. I have a payroll manifest totaling $3,831.38.
So can you read that slower? Just a little.
$3,331.14.
That seemed like too many threes. Thank you.
Payroll taxes totaling $1,339.98. And then I'll read the, I don't have my person checking on my manifest. Okay. Okay, Bronx Industries for $306.90. Is that for a culvert?
Asphalt.
Asphalt. CAI Technologies for tax map maintenance, $300. Carroll County Registry of Deeds, $4. CASA, these were in our budget to the donations that we, which is, CASA is the coin-appointed special advocate for children. We're giving a $500 donation. CMP Home and Property Maintenance for mowing of the cemeteries, $450. Consolidated Communications, $145.38. Cornerstone VNA, our donation is $657. Craig Evans put in a request. Apparently Craig purchased some document boxes for the town archives, and he paid for them, and he's asking for $50.20. I have, I'm not sure, is this the lavender one? Is this the
Tax abatement?
Yes, tax abatement for the Lavender Trust, $148.31. Or was that Donna
No.
Donna Santantonio,
Yeah.
$429.05. There were
That's
two abatements.
Yep.
A replacement check for our selectman, Ed Gauthier, who lost his check, $29.86.
Tisk, tisk.
Gov Connection, $253.80. Greater Wakefield Resource Center, our donation is $500. Our code enforcement officers in a monthly stipend of $108.34. Joanne Dahlbeer for taking the minutes at the July 1st meeting, $60. I also purchased a ribbon for my calculator, which was $9.99. Karen Zerbasic for postage, $15.47. Kindle Construction, I have two, $6,167.50 and $2,155. So then the Lavender Trust abatement, $148.31. Wolfboro Area Meals on Wheels, our donation of $750. Mitchell Municipal Group, I have two, one for $2,923.09 and one for $150. Moose Mountain Regional Greenways, our donation is $100. Primex for our property and liability, which is much more, it's about $2,000 more than what we budgeted for. It's $4,497.
Did they say why that went up?
I didn't, I can check and ask, but yeah, it did go up quite a bit. Wakefield Food Pantry, $2,000, that's our donation. And that's what I have.
Okay, the total for the manifest is $22,720.89. I'll make a motion we approve the manifest as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Get anything else, man? Julie?
No, I'm good.
The names all mixed up. Okay. No other correspondence? Manifest are complete? I will call the meeting adjourned at
7-Eleven.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming and bearing with us through the heat. Appreciate it.